G'day and welcome to the episode. I'm Tim James and this is Island Life. In this episode we're going to look at how I make my ham and bacon. But before we do that, I want to send a quick shout out to Andy from Pili Divers here on Tablas Island in the Philippines. Andy helped us out, you might remember if you saw it in the last video, and he also helped us out with extra footage again for this video. So thanks Andy, appreciate it mate, good one. Now, moving on. In this episode, we're going to go through the exact process that I use for my ham and bacon. And if you watched the last episode, you might remember that we actually butchered a pig specifically for this process. So let's get into that. But before we do that, we're going to do the intro. Alrighty, let's kick this episode off. It's kind of like deja vu. I've got Andy from Pili Divers back with us again. Quick shameless plug. If you want to dive on Tablas Island, Andy is your go-to guy. He's the dive instructor from Pili Divers. He can teach you how to dive or he can guide you at the local dive site. So I'll put a link in the description below so you can get in touch with Andy via Facebook. Alrighty, if you saw the last episode, you would have remembered that we butchered a pig. This is the result of one half. One half we kept, it's in the freezer. The other half I've turned into bacon and ham. It's taken about a week. So in this episode we're going to go through how we got to this stage. So the reason I decided to do this, or learn how to do this, is because you can get bacon on the island, but it's okay, but it's hard to get. It's not exactly the way I like bacon to be done. So I decided to learn how to do bacon. Ham you just cannot get on the island at all, not the way we like it in Australia anyway, which is like a Christmassy ham with cinnamon and cloves. So there are some similarities between the two, but there are also a lot of differences. So the common similarities between making bacon and making ham is salt. They both use a lot of salt to help with the curing process, and they both spend a week in the fridge. Oh, and the third thing is they both get smoked at the end of that. So that's where the similarities end. After that, it's a completely different process. So we'll focus on the bacon first, and I'll go through exactly what I do with that. We also use what's called Prague salts or curing salts, or Prague powder. This is a way to colour the meat, give it a little bit of colour. That's why it gets that sort of pinky hue. It also prevents any unwanted bacteria buildup. So we only use a little bit with the bacon, but we use a lot with the ham. I will put my recipes, and these are my recipes, you don't have to do it that way, you do it however you want, but the way I do it, I'll put the recipes in the description below as well. So, with the bacon, the first thing we need to do after we've taken the bacon off the pig, which is the belly of the pig, and also you can see here I've got a backstrap. If you saw the last episode you would remember that we took the backstrap off the spine, it's the big muscle. And one is in the freezer, the other one is this one, I cut it in half and it's now bacon. What we do is, the first thing we do is we salt it, so we mix in the salt and the sugar, 2 parts salt to 1 part sugar, and then just 4 tablespoons of the Prague salt. Once we've got that mixed combined, we then wrap the bacon in Glad wrap. After we've wrapped it, we then put it in the fridge. The first day, or ref if you're American, the first day you put it in, there's a lot of liquid comes out and you have to keep an eye on it. After about 6 hours, it'll fill the tray up, you've got to tip that out. After about 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, there's no more liquid coming out, and it starts to basically cure inside the Glad wrap or the cling wrap. So what I do is I just rotate it around, I cycle it, so one day, in the fridge, and then I'll take it out and I'll turn everything over and reverse the order so it just doesn't sit in the same position for a whole week. But after 1 week, we then take it out, we give it a good rinse off, get rid of any extra salt, and then it goes on the smoker for 6 hours. So it's a long, slow smoke. And after that, it's done, and that's the result. Now it's ready for slicing. So we'll have a look at slicing that up. We might actually do that now. We can't eat this because it's not ready to be consumed, it needs to be cooked, but we can have the ham. So we'll try some of that in a sec. Andy's smiling, he knows what's coming. Alright, let's have a look at this. We'll see how this one goes. So this is the part that the Americans call streaky bacon. And as you can see, you've got a nice series of layers. You can see the muscle groups and the fat groups. There's normally about 5. You can see it goes fat, muscle, blah, blah, blah. But you can also see that we've got a beautiful streaky bacon. And once this is all sliced up, that is going to make great bacon and eggs. So that's what the bacon looks like. If we, the belly flap bacon, if we look at the backstrap, this has been done exactly the same, but the difference is that we can use this for cooking, as I said in the last video, things like carbonara is really good if you want to do diced, or you can do ham steaks, or bacon steaks. So we have a look at what this looks like on the inside. You can see straight away we've got some nice marbling, and we've got a really, really nice slab of bacon. So there you go. There's the 2 cuts of bacon. Now, if we have a look at the way we do the hams, it's quite a different process. So while the bacon is just simply curing in the fridge, the hams actually get brined. Now, brining is a fancy word for saying put it in water. Okay, that's it. But the water has a lot of salt in it. So we put 1 part salt to 1 part Prague salt. It's the same amount. I use about 200 grams, and you've got to mix that in for a while because it takes a while to dissolve it. So what I use is I actually use the chiller box out of our drinks fridge because we don't use that for vegetables. So that's what I put it in. It's a good size for 7 hams, which is what we got. So it goes in, I've half filled that with water, and then we put the salts in, and then we add some spices. So we also add honey. We use this, which is a pickling spice. It's not cheap, but it is definitely worth it, and that's lasted me nearly a year. So great addition. It also has bay leaves and chili, as well as a range of spices in there. And I also add in some cinnamon and some cloves. That gives it the sort of the Christmas ham feel. Then once we've done that, it's brined for a week. I do turn it. I take it out and just turn them around, make sure they're not sitting against the sides of the tray for a whole week. But other than that, it just sits in the fridge for a week. After a week, we take it out and we then boil it. We boil it for 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how big or how thick the hams are. These are still warm because they've just come off the smoker. But I boiled these this morning. These ones are thicker because the pig was a big pig, it was 80 kilos. So these ones took nearly an hour. And then what we do is we just check with the digital thermometer, we just check the temperature. And as soon as it hits 70 degrees Celsius, that's it. They're cooked. And then they can go onto the smoker to get the flavour, that final flavour. So they're not getting smoked so much as just getting a flavour. And that only takes 1 hour. So 6 hours of smoking for that with nothing other than in the fridge. 1 week in the fridge, 1 hour on the stove, and then 1 hour in the smoker, and then you've got your hams. So having said all of that, I think we should cut one of these up. Want to have a taste?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Alright, let's see, where should we cut this bad boy? That looks magic. Alrighty. There we have it. Some nice ham. That looks really good. I think we should try that right now. Yeah, see it?
Thank you. Still warm.
Mm-hmm. Bro.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. Wow. That is really good.
Mm.
I don't normally eat on camera.
Highly recommend.
Thank you. But I've waited a week for that, so I couldn't help myself. So there you have it. 2 different styles of bacon plus ham. And that is how we do that. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have enjoyed this episode, please click on the like button, and hitting subscribe will help you find future videos I post. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Done. It's a wrap. How good is that?
That's superb.